Welcome to Jam Session. I'm Juliet Litman.
I'm Amanda Dobbins.
It's a week of passions. We're just leaning into the things we love, namely real estate, which is coming at the end. Grey's Anatomy, kinda coming in the middle.
One member of the
One
Grey's
one member
Anatomy.
of Grey's Anatomy and all of the riches in the world. And first, Big Little Lies news just broke. Luckily, pushed back our taping today. It's come to light. It's broken out to the news that Meryl Streep, she of 22 Oscar nominations, will be starring in season 2 of Big Little Lies, or if not starring, appearing.
I think that she'll play a major role because she's Meryl Streep.
How much do you think she's getting paid?
I'm so glad you asked because I have the facts right here. According to Variety, she will make around $800,000 per episode.
And there's 10 episodes.
I don't know whether they've announced that there were 7 of the first
Right.
7 or 8 of the first season.
So
I can't imagine they would do 10.
Making minimum $5 million off of her 7 episodes.
You have to assume that that is kind of the asking rate for Meryl Streep's time.
I think that seems low, to be quite honest.
Well, maybe she's doing it for fun.
Or maybe the role's not that big.
Maybe Meryl Streep, like the rest of us, watched the first season of Big Little Lies, thought it looked like a great time, wanted to visit Monterey and look out on the ocean through some glass, and decided to sign up.
What kind of home will she have? Well, do you think so spoiler alert, she's playing the mother of the deceased Alexander Skarsgård character.
Yes. Can I read the description?
Yes, please do.
Streep will play Mary Louise Wright. So they've thought this out enough to give her a character name. This
Okay.
is real. This is happening. The mother of Perry Wright, who, spoiler, got
Dead.
pushed off a
DED dead.
staircase?
Down a staircase, yeah.
It was kind of like that weird floating staircase in Silver Lake, right?
Yeah, I just want to say I know how to spell dead. That's just a joke from Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Okay.
DED dead.
Was it in fact the staircase in Silver Lake?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think
right.
they filmed that all like Northern California or
Okay.
mid California.
Okay. I did think the final party was at Barnsdall
Oh, it was at the art park?
Someone told me that, and that is very relatively near
It did look like that.
our homes,
Yes,
and also
quite close.
a place where I like to drink wine from time to time, so I drive by it a
It
lot.
could have been there.
Okay, great.
That makes
Anyway,
sense. Sure. Okay.
so Alexander Skarsgård died there, and
Shout out Zoe Kravitz.
so Meryl Streep will be concerned for the well-being of her grandchildren following her son Perry's death. Mary Louise arrives in Monterey searching for answers. So she is going to be pitted against Nicole Kidman and presumably the whole rest of the crew.
Yeah.
So basically, Meryl Streep is the villain of Big Little Lies season 2.
Which is great. Which character from her past do you hope she most resembles when playing this?
You said it best. She needs to be doing Devil Wears Prada, Meryl.
Yeah. Deeply skeptical.
Yeah.
Extremely cold. Holds you at a distance.
Underminery.
Yeah.
Doesn't yell.
What if she decided to go as Julia Child?
Well, she kind of did. I've been saying this a lot, but basically Meryl Streep in The Post is her Julia Child impression, but with slightly more gravitas.
Sure.
Like when she finally, have you seen The Post?
Yeah. No,
So-
sorry. No, I haven't.
Not to spoil anything.
Go
but
ahead and spoil it. I'm never seeing it.
First of all, I had a great time, but The Post revolves around whether the Washington Post should publish the Pentagon Papers or
Right.
not. And spoiler alert, they do decide to publish them because the Pentagon Papers made it into the world.
Sure.
So kind of the climactic scene when Meryl Streep is facing down a group of men and everyone's saying, don't publish, legal issues, blah, blah, blah. She kind of does when she finally decides to publish, she just yells like, we go! And she kind of like does the hands in the air, kind of like she's like, butter, whoa!
Whoa.
Bon appetit! And it's like basically the same Julia Child impression.
That's
So,
really funny.
yeah, I loved it. I had a great time at the movies watching The Post.
I assume we'll be getting a lot of Kidman and Streep together then.
You have to assume so. And you also have to assume that Reese Witherspoon her character will stick her nose in everyone's business, and they will fight a lot. And kind of what I'm imagining is peak high-strung Reese yelling a lot versus ice-cold Meryl.
Right. I can't wait.
Yeah, because you don't want them both yelling at each other. It becomes too much. You kind of want Meryl to bring her scary reserved.
Sure.
Have I ever told you my personal anecdote about Meryl Streep?
No, you haven't. Please do.
It just really reminded me of this. I went to see Gypsy on Broadway with an ex-boyfriend's family, and I wound up sitting literally next to Meryl Streep.
Oh, amazing.
Like me and the seat next to me was Meryl Streep.
Gypsy's a real classic.
Yeah, but so here was Meryl's MO at the Broadway show. So every time there was a laugh line, the whole theater would laugh, pause, And then Meryl unleashes, like, her amazing low Meryl laugh
Uh-huh.
that echoes through the theater, and everybody recognizes instantly that it's Meryl Streep, and there's just a moment of letting Meryl laugh,
Wow.
and then the show goes on.
Do you think it's like that everywhere she goes? Like, can she ever be just like a woman in a shop?
Probably because then she goes into Nancy Meyers mode, right?
I guess so.
You can imagine her being like, "Oh, this lavender ice cream, I can't sleep, blah, blah, blah." I don't know. Then I suppose you realize you're with Meryl Streep. So let's address the controversy briefly.
Sure.
There are a group of people in the world who, number one, do not think that Big Little Lies should have a second season.
Okay.
And number two, are very dismayed that Meryl Streep is going to be a part of Big Little Lies because they think I honestly don't know what they think. Maybe they think it's beneath her.
Like stick to movies?
Maybe they think it's legitimizing a television show that shouldn't exist or something. I don't really know because I think this is whack. These people are wrong, and I'm extremely annoyed with it. Stop your whining. You're getting 7 to 10 expensive episodes of television starring a bunch of women you like, and they're going to yell and throw wine at each other, and there will be oceans and probably a bad school play.
And great tunes.
Why do we have to be so ungrateful?
I don't know. It's the same people who are just immediately like, "Do you really want Oprah as president?" Like, yes, we agree. Probably not as president, but like, let's just take a moment and have fun.
But that's the stakes of that are kind of the future of the country. This is just a television show on HBO. Like who cares?
Yeah.
Why are we mad?
I
Just accept the nice thing or don't watch it and keep watching your like, weird cartoon show or whatever you watch. I don't need this.
yeah, I agree with you. Like, it's just great. It's like this. If we're, I kind of understand the like, give us one season and let's move on vibe. But assuming we're getting a second season, why wouldn't you want Meryl Streep in it?
I don't know. They make a lot more seasons of a lot worse shows than this.
Oh, definitely,
That's kind of where I am on it.
definitely. Well, I wanted to ask you like how you're feeling about the award season tour that Big Little Lies is on right now.
I can't believe it's still going.
I know it's long.
I was thinking about this recently. You pointed out in our last podcast that the Golden Globes are kind of awkwardly timed TV wise,
Yeah.
and it never really makes any sense. And that's true. But, then they also showed up at SAG Awards because actors acting. And so
Great
I
explanation.
mean that's why it is. It's the Screen Actors Guild Award. They're a part of it. So I was kind of thinking maybe the Emmys should move up.
Oh,
I like award season is award season.
yeah,
And it's fun to be able to compare them to each other and build the narratives or
sure.
whatever nonsense, you want to say. And the Emmys are kind of the outlier.
I think it was formerly in early September because there used to just be one TV season
Exactly.
that started at the end of September and went to the end of May.
Right, but that doesn't really make sense
Right,
anymore.
doesn't anymore. So it's that's a good note. Like when it was maybe in non-Olympics years, it could be in March or something like that.
Yeah, or even
Well,
I feel like the Oscars should still get the hammer.
sure. So maybe they should be late January.
Yeah, that seems great.
Globes and Emmys in January, Grammys in February, Oscars at the end of February.
That seems great with me.
Okay, we've done it.
Yeah.
Award seasons, people. Let us know if you want us to weigh in on anything else.
Yeah, we're available for consults.
You're known as a big Reese head.
Yeah.
Who's your second favorite Big Little Lies lady right now? You can include Streep if you'd like. Now that she's in the mix.
Well, my impulse was to say Kidman, but you really got to make some room for Dern there.
Dern's killing it.
Yeah, I don't think Streep has earned it yet.
Can we talk about Kidman for a moment? Because
Sure.
I have a secret to share.
Yes, go.
I don't get Nicole Kidman.
Well, that's kind of the point, right?
Is it? I just feel like men love Nicole Kidman.
Well, she's beautiful.
I've just never really thought that. I certainly haven't thought it in the last 10 years. I guess far and away Nicole Kidman, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Beautiful. But like plastic surgery Nicole Kidman, less into it.
Well,
And I don't want to be like judgy for plastic surgery. I don't know what it's like to be a famous woman in Hollywood.
right.
But like I just feel like there's so much fawning over Nicole Kidman and I don't really get it.
she has a kind of cold, distant beauty that a certain type of person, and I won't even say men. I think there are a lot of women who think she's the most beautiful woman in the world.
Okay.
My money is still elsewhere. I actually don't know who I think the most beautiful woman in the world is, but I know what you're saying. I also appreciate that she is attractive to a certain group of person. And I also think kind of her demeanor and reserved nature appeals to certain people. Not
Uh-huh.
you and me.
No, no.
You and I like big
Yeah,
personalities.
totally. I also just feel like whenever she wears a prosthetic or a wig of any
Mhm.
kind,
Yeah.
it never looks convincing.
No.
Maybe because she's so specific looking. But like when she was in The Hours, I was just
Yes.
like, this is a joke.
Well,
And
that was just ridiculous. That
and
was insane.
her wig on Big Little Lies, I also find weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just I'm always so aware that I'm watching Nicole Kidman. It's like never a character.
We've talked about her for at least 2 minutes without mentioning that she was married to Tom Cruise for 12 years and participated in Scientology, so that's a whole thing.
Sure. And then also the other thing is like there was one, I think page 6 article or something that points out that Nicole Kidman thanked all of her children in this
Right.
award season tour.
Yeah.
But for a while she just like was not in touch or reaching or talking about Connor and Bella Cruz.
Yes. Well, that's really fraught
Yeah.
because
Again, I don't even mean it in a judgmental way, but I'm just
exactly.
like, how could I possibly know what that situation is like?
Right.
But I don't know, the Nicole Kidman experience has never grabbed me. I think
she's
that's my
not my number one.
I think that's my own problem with Big Little Lies to the extent that I even have one. So I'm just like, Nicole Kidman, don't need it.
I thought she was great on the show.
I don't know, she's just not for me.
But, you too love a therapy scene on a
Yeah.
TV show.
I was actually thinking of rewatching In Treatment. I was like,
Oh,
I've got
wow.
some space in my TV schedule.
Now I'm just thinking about the Adam Scott scene, so
I don't know who it's just a great show. I love TV fictional therapy, not reality TV therapy. That should be banned. But I just I think I just found the violence a lot and I don't know, Nicole Kidman, I just can't get down.
I think that's a valid opinion.
Thanks.
I think
So it'll be interesting to see her with Meryl, I guess.
yeah, I mean, I think that that'll be really fun. It's also nice that Alexander Skarsgård won't be a part of it, and
Yeah.
it really will just be about a bunch of women at
Ki
this point, I hope it will be.
Me too.
Yeah.
I also would like more Zoe Kravitz.
I think that they have to do if they don't fully explore the Zoe Kravitz character, then this season is doomed. That was the biggest problem with last season, in part because if I recall correctly, spoiler again, but also this show was on a year ago, so get your
Yeah,
act together.
whatever.
She was the one who actually pushed him.
Yes.
That's certainly true in the book, and I believe they did that in
Yeah,
the
the
TV
show.
show as well. So you have to then give that character a life, or else that it makes no sense.
Did you see the rumors that she's dating Drake?
Is she?
Again?
I feel like Drake is dating someone every day.
I love one of 2 new Drake songs.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah, that's exciting. We can move on to our next topic, but I just want to mention
Yes.
never enough mentions the fact that Lisa Bonet is now married to Jason Momoa, and Jason Momoa is like legitimately obsessed with her.
Wow.
It's so wild.
This is why
Jason Momoa is the best. I love him.
here's what I have to say. The Big Little Lies universe is rich and complicated and has many different avenues that we can explore.
I'm glad you put it that way because I'm so tired of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes, here we
There's
go.
so many other universes I'd prefer.
That's great.
Like the
on screen and off. It's
Big Little Lies
fascinating.
universe, Lisa Vanderpump universe.
Great.
Like there's just so many other ones that
Yeah.
I'm more
And
interested
now
in.
Meryl's involved.
Yeah, I know. It's just getting better and better.
Just whole worlds we can explore.
This does feel like the real like antidote to like the Marvel movie world is like the
Yes.
Big Little Lies TV world.
Yes.
And like let's just go to like other coastal towns and some Jane can keep on moving. Okay, let's talk about our sponsor and then we got 2 hot stories. Okay, Amanda, we didn't record last week. But a big story draft. One that I spent approximately 5 days discussing.
Yes.
And it was an as told to piece in the Hollywood Reporter from the one and only Dr. Meredith Grey, known to many as Ellen Pompeo. And it's all about how Shonda Rhimes empowered her and inspired her to get the best deal possible. And that deal means $20 million a year from ABC, points on the back end of Grey's Anatomy, and her own production outfit with the office on the Burbank lot of Disney Studios. Fuck yeah. And you want to know why I say fuck yeah? Because Ellen Pompeo said fuck several times in this I was told to. I just did a control F and it came up 10 times.
Yes. So in addition to a nice story about asking for more and your value in a woman, et cetera, which we'll come back to, this is just an extremely candid interview. Extremely candid with cursing and some side references to the fact that Faye Dunaway drives a Prius and the kind of frankness that you do not get from a celebrity really in any context, but certainly when talking about money.
Yeah.
And everyone got really excited about it.
Um, there was a lot of, like, cheering
Yes.
on social media, a lot
Yes.
of, like, "Yes, queen," which is
Yes.
something I don't ever say, but I felt the same way. Um, and I was, like, really excited. What did you think about her Faye Dunaway comment, which I will read to you before we get to it?
Yes. Go ahead.
So she's talking about how why she wants to get all why she feels it's important to get this deal. And she's talking about, like, other precedent in Hollywood, and she says, quote, "I mean, Faye Dunaway is driving a fucking Prius today. Now, there's nothing wrong with the Prius, but my point is she had no financial power. If we're going to invoke change, that has to be a part of it."
And so I believe you used the Faye Dunaway quote to ask whether she fully understood how this interview was going to run
Yeah.
and
So
whether it was going to just be a monologue from Ellen Pompeo.
I'm not sure she knew it was an as told
Right.
to, is my point.
I think that's a valid point. The Faye Dunaway quote is I we're starting with the least flattering part of the article, and please know that we will go back to
Yeah.
the more
I
flattering
just want to
parts.
address the
Yeah, I
controversy up top.
it's not great. It's definitely I don't know whether I would say this, but I might say something like this. And
Sure.
I know what she means by it, and it also is something that I would say in private and then feel bad about because I was being a little snotty. Um, she just means that Faye Dunaway is not getting the same treatment as other people, and she uses, like, a particularly ubiquitous LA vehicle to paint that image. It's I agree with you. I don't think she really thought through what it would
Yeah.
sound like
I
in print.
I j I don't yeah. This is and I think the reason this got so much attention was because of the way she delivered it. Like,
Yeah.
she's really direct about this. Like, she talks openly about how she knows she's not gonna get movie offers when Grey's
Yeah.
Anatomy is presumably over in 2 years, when she'll
Mhm.
be 50. She talks openly about how she felt like her career was ending when she was
Mhm.
24 and Grey's was, like, something she didn't even wanna do, and, she's just really pragmatic about being a working actress. Like,
Yes.
my mom pointed out to me there's, like, not, like, a lot of, like, craft or art in here, and I was like, "Mom, like, it's a job. She's
Yeah.
done over 300 episodes of this show for 15 years. Like, anyone who does anything with that much repetition, like, they treat it like a job." And I think a lot of there's just, like, so many things that this crystallized for me. Like, when, an athlete is like, "It's a job. I'm just trying to be a
Right.
professional." Like, we applaud them. There's not like for it's not like for love of the game all the time.
Yes.
So, like, let's applaud Ellen Pompeo for being, like, a shrewd businesswoman who's also, like, who happens to be an actress.
Yes. She says at some point she's explaining that the decisions that she made may not be for everyone. She says you have to be more interested in business than you are in acting, which you don't get that awareness from a lot of people of that what they do is also well, some people just wanna do it for the money, and some people kind of wanna be an artist, but also wanna be rewarded for it, and she seems to have, like, a very solid perspective of where she is in the industry and
Yeah,
what she wants and what
absolutely.
to ask for it.
I thought one of the coolest things about this was how much credit she gives Shonda.
Yes.
Like, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Like,
can I read this part
yeah,
actually? Yeah.
please do.
Um, so she says, Maybe it's my Irish Catholic upbringing, but you never want to be perceived as too greedy. Or maybe it's just that as women, that's our problem. A guy wouldn't have any problem asking for $600,000 for an episode. And as women, we're like, oh, can I ask for that? Is that okay? Which, if you take out the $600,000 figure, which I have no familiarity with,
Yeah.
that is a feeling that I personally have familiarity with. I have watched a lot of women in professional settings worry about the same thing and watched a lot of dudes not have that problem. So I related to this part. And then she brings in Shonda. She says, I'd call Shonda and say, am I being greedy? But CAA compiled a list of stats for me, and Grey's has generated nearly 3 billion for Disney. When your face and your voice have been part of something that's generated 3 billion for one of the biggest corporations in the world, you start to feel like, okay, maybe I do deserve a piece of this.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
when I read that line, I was like, "Oh, it's very shrewd of CAA, both
Yes.
empowering its client
Right.
and also getting money for itself." But
Yeah.
that's what being an agency is, and CAA is in a particularly precarious moment, I think,
Yes.
tied to all the Harvey stuff. But, that's doing right by its client, I think. Um, Another, like, particularly interesting part of this to me was it came out that she talks about how she approached Patrick Dempsey to
Mhm.
negotiate together, and he never wanted to,
Right.
and she doesn't know how much he made. He might know how much he made, we don't know, but it definitely made it seem like they did not have a particularly cordial relationship by the end,
Right.
and when he was, killed off the show, it was, like, a pretty fraught moment for her because of the way their professional lives were so intertwined. And I was like, damn, they're good actors. They don't like each other. And I deeply believe in Meredith and Derek's love.
You are famously on the record as believing that characters should not be killed off. They should be
Yes.
recast.
I thought he should have been recast.
Having read this, do you still stand
Yes.
by
It would have
that?
been an even bigger fuck you to him.
I guess that's a good point.
Yes. If I'm an actor, like, and they decide, I mean, that's just saying, like, yeah, you're replaceable. Like, we'll just replace you with a different actor. It would have been completely crazy, but I think they should have done it. I mean, like, Grey's has so many crazy things.
I know, but there's no way they could have pulled it off, practically speaking.
I guess.
That's the thing I like about this is how practical it is.
And, like, it does I didn't mean to cut you off, but I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like, on the one hand, like, this is a show that I deeply love and, like, am so invested in, but I also, like, admire the frankness with which she talks about her job
Yes.
and, like, what it's like to be a woman in her 40s in this industry.
Yes.
And I always, like, when Jennifer Lawrence, like, wrote that thing about, like, unequal pay, I was like, whatever, you're a rich actress or whatever.
Right.
But I definitely felt emotional reading this, being like, yeah, good for you. Like, ask what you deserve. And, like,
Yeah.
at every level of employment, women should do that.
These conversations of Hollywood pay are always tricky because the money is so astronomical.
Yeah.
For example, the Mark Wahlberg, Michelle Williams kerfuffle that happened recently, which is that they were both on the film All the Money in the World that had reshoots because they recast
Mhm.
Kevin Spacey. And it came out that for the reshoot portion of that film, Mark Wahlberg negotiated and was paid $1.5 million, and Michelle Williams was paid nothing.
Right.
So, which is just a galling sum on its own, but it's also
Sure.
just kind of like if someone's being paid $1.5 million for 11 days of work, it's the same thing with $600,000 an
Yeah.
episode. The sums are so large that they become unrelatable at some point.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
can't imagine it. And there is a danger of talking about these things of suddenly feeling like we've saved the whole world because
Yeah.
a TV star got paid $300,000 more than they were being paid. And that doesn't really solve a lot of the problems. But I thought what was really helpful and what made this article so important is that she really does talk about the psychology behind so much
Yeah.
of it and how she felt about it, and as much about the attitudes and practical thinking that a woman needs to have in order, and the hurdles that a woman has to get over in order to ask for a raise or ask for how much they're worth. And I think like this is an interview that you can't apply the sums and the situations,
Yeah.
but you can supply the attitude and the empowerment, which is not a word I hate usually using, but I felt
Yeah.
the same way of just like, oh, right, I can go ask for what I'm worth as well.
Yeah, I think there's, like, some sentiment behind it. And to the point about the reshoots for All the Money in the World,
Yeah.
like, we don't know what was in Michelle Williams' contract versus
Right.
Mark Wahlberg. But the point is, and Ellen Pompeo gets at this, is that, like, it's standard that he has either more leverage or a different kind of negotiating tactic to get more money, and that speaks to the system.
Yes.
And that's what she's speaking to as well. The system as it currently exists doesn't work for Ellen Pompeo and doesn't work for Michelle Williams the way that it does work
Right.
for Mark Wahlberg or maybe Patrick Dempsey. And, like, that's the point, is, like, the important upshot to me from, like, all the Time's Up stuff is not only um voicing sexual harassment and abuse when it happens, but also finding structures and systems that do work, because the ones that we have so clearly do not. And, like, that's why it's really cool. And, like, even what she says about, like, I'll just read this part about negotiating with regards to Patrick Dempsey. She says, there were many times where I reached out about joining together to negotiate, but he was never interested in that. At one point, I asked for 5,000 more than him just on principle because the show is Grey's Anatomy and I'm Meredith Grey. They wouldn't give it to me and I could have walked away. So why didn't I? It's my show. I'm the number one. I'm sure I felt what a lot of these other actresses feel. Why should I walk away from a great part because of a guy? You feel conflicted, but then you figure, I'm not going to let a guy drive me out of my own house. And even that, when she's still not even getting what she asked for, is empowering. Like, again, like, it's that word so overused, but it's true. It's like she's taking ownership. This is her fucking show, and she's, like, gonna do it her way. I don't know. I just found it to be exciting, and also I support people speaking in honest ways that make people uncomfortable because it's uncommon.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't talk about these things, and we certainly don't talk about them this way with figures and frankness and talking about feeling anxious and not knowing how to get around these problems.
Sure. I've spent so many years being like, wow, that Ari Gold on Entourage. Like,
Yeah.
let's talk about money. What a lovable asshole, or, like, what
Exactly.
an entertaining asshole. Can't Ellen Pompeo be, like, an entertaining asshole and that's enough? Like, why does she's a woman? Like, so that just makes it different? I don't know. I thought this was really cool, and, like, to the extent that there was any like backlash. I was just like, I don't care.
I had a great time reading it.
Me too.
I really did.
And
It
you
was
want to know what?
fun.
Grey's Anatomy came back last week, and it was a great episode. Man, oh man, did I love it. Meredith saved the day. It was great. Great stuff. Okay. And for the final section of today's podcast, let's discuss our other favorite topic, other than Big Little Lies and the Shonda universe. That's another cinematic universe I'm here for. It's
Yes,
Shonda's.
right.
Real estate. Just a couple of news and notes in our celebrity real estate corner.
Did you want to start with Hilary Duff?
I would love to start with Hilary
Please
Duff.
do. Yeah.
There's news today that she's playing Sharon Tate in a movie, so I was looking at like this weird Hilary Duff
Right.
Twitter fan account, which
To
then
clarify, not in the Tarantino
No.
Manson movie, in a different movie about Sharon Tate.
bad beat to be in the other Sharon Tate movie.
Yeah.
That really stinks.
Right.
Through this weird Hilary Duff fan account, which I should maybe follow because I'm a new recent devotee of the television show Younger.
Great.
I came to see this Better Homes and Gardens spread about Hilary Duff's vibrant Los Angeles home.
Yeah.
First note about it,
Yeah.
a lot of muted pinks, a lot of like millennial pink, and a lot of like blush colors.
Yes.
Which puts her very firmly in like the I'm 29 years old category.
Yeah, I'm 29 and I've been on Pinterest.
Yes. And she admits that. She says she makes boards all day long.
And I'm taking Pinterest literally.
Yes. So she's got some highs, one of which she's got a really nice front double door, which she painted to be like a blush color.
Okay.
The door is extremely wide. It's a double door, side by side.
Yeah.
So that's weird. It's not like this is like some palace, and it's not like she's a really wide human. So I don't know why you need such a wide door. And I've actually been looking at a lot of LA real estate lately just because I'm obsessed. And there's a lot of like wide door frames. I don't really get it.
It's inviting. You've got the space. Why not? Also makes it easier to get furniture in and out of the
That's a
home,
great
which is like
point.
a practical concern.
That's a really good point. I think that like I just would like she has very narrow windows next to the doors. I would go larger windows, smaller
I assumed
doors.
that was some sort of what's the golden ratio, architectural
Sure.
principles, etc. I don't know. There was a blog devoted to the study of McMansions and
Oh.
why they were good and bad. I mean, it was just like someone with some architectural knowledge and a lot of free time. But there is some sort of ratio with window and closed space to open space. So I assume that it's about balance.
Oh, okay. Thanks,
That's-
Amanda.
I mean, that's a real full of shit answer, but that's my best guess.
Okay. And then things kind of devolve a little bit once we enter the home.
I gotta say, this is not the worst
No,
celebrity
it's
home I've ever
Certainly
seen.
better than Mindy Kaling's.
I was thinking that and not gonna say it, but then you said it, and I agree.
And it's worth mentioning because they both have a lot of like busyness going on.
A lot of bright colors.
Yeah.
A lot of bright patterns.
Yes, she has a lot of patterns. One
yeah.
high is that she found 3 vintage sort of pink inflected rugs, cut them up and sewed them together to be a runner for like her statement staircase.
Yeah.
And I actually really like that. I think it
Yeah.
looks really nice. Also, it's cool they're vintage. They're already like worn in rugs so that when you walk on them, you won't feel bad like you're wearing them out.
That's true. The other thing to note here is they work because the rest of the room is muted.
Is white and wood.
Yeah. Okay.
I also like that she went for white and wood, not black and wood.
I agree completely.
Black and wood is, I like it. It's just kind of overused.
It's also just so dark. Don't you want
Yeah,
your
for-
home to be
I think it's better for a
filled with
city,
light?
for like a city, like urban environment
Yeah.
because it's already dark. But like
Yeah.
in California where there's so much light, it's just
I
a
agree.
weird look. Okay, moving on. I want to talk about her living room because she
Great.
explicitly says that she wanted the quote unquote cozy and lived in vibe, even though it was so stylized. And she
Okay.
picked legitimately the most uncomfortable looking furniture that like they should have in a hotel in Palm Springs and never
Okay.
in someone's house.
Yeah.
Like in like a Palm Springs hotel lobby, replete with a cactus.
It definitely looks like Hilary Duff applied to the wing and then was denied and then
And
built
she was
her
like, "But I
own.
have all this furniture for
Yeah.
you."
Yeah.
It's like a gray velvet looking couch that looks uncomfortable and then 2 pink like style chairs. I don't even
It's kind of Art Deco. They're a velvet plush vibe. I actually like the chairs, to be honest.
I think with a more comfortable looking couch I would be more into
Yeah.
them. But the couch looks really uncomfortable.
Can I ask you, does anyone ever sit in an armchair in a living room ever? Has anyone ever actually used an armchair for the purposes
So I have
of
a-
sitting in it?
I have a recliner. Does that count?
A recliner is a usable piece of furniture. These are clearly statement chairs.
That's true. There's
You
statement
know,
chairs, so
and
you don't
there's
look
like a
comfortable.
whole mid-century modern category of the velvet statement chair. And I love them and they look great and they come in many shapes and sizes and colors. And has anyone ever used them for the purpose of sitting?
No.
Okay. So in this sense, I kind of like them as structural pieces.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, it's not cozy and lived in.
I guess if you have a big enough home, your living room doesn't have to also be your TV room. Because,
That's
like,
true.
because for I judge this as, like, well, would I wanna sit on that couch for hours and watch 5 episodes of The
Right,
Crown?
but there's no
No.
TV in here.
Yeah, so I guess she's not watching TV
I
in
guess
here.
this is like, would you have a glass of wine and some hors d'oeuvres when you have people over for dinner in this room?
I guess, but this couch is just not gonna be kind to crumbs. It's not gonna go well.
It's true. One wine spill and the whole game's over.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't I don't know, bad living room. But then it gets kinda worse. She has she has, like, a bar, like, I can't tell if this is, like, her main kitchen or a bar,
It looks
but
like the kitchen.
she has, like, that what's that pattern called? Like, ISCAT something?
iCat, yeah.
ICAT. She has, like, ICAT tile for her backsplash and also for, like, the kitchen bar.
It's just
It's
a
kind of
lot.
everywhere. She has really nice blue wood cabinets that I happen to love,
Right.
and those would be great if that was, like, a feature wall with white subway tile or a cream or even, like, a very light yellow of some kind.
Yeah,
But
she's
the
got, like
ICAT is, like, just so overwhelming. I can't. I
she's
just
got
can't.
5 accent walls instead of the 1.
Yes. It's called a feature wall for a reason. You have one of it.
Which is just Pinterest.
Yeah, it's a
account,
problem.
yeah.
And then our dining room I actually like, a ton of light. She went pretty classic. It's like kind of like an art deco chandelier type of thing. Fine, have fun with your light fixtures. I don't want any part of that. But anyway, it's fine. Um, and then her bedroom also has a crazy feature wall. And like a bedroom is not the place for the feature wall. That's for your living room.
So she just has a very busy wallpaper choice behind the bed.
Yeah. And it looks like a Vampire Weekend cover or something.
Yeah. Or
It's
kinda like fake Liberty print.
yeah.
I don't care for the wallpaper. If this were a wallpaper I liked, I would be excited about
Again,
it.
like lighter color. I don't know.
I agree.
It's also, I think, maybe partially the way this photo shoot was lit. It's very a lot of bright California lights kind of thing.
Which is great, embrace that.
Yeah,
But
but it's
I
dissonant with
just don't like the wallpaper. That's what it comes down to.
yeah, it's
You
true.
have to pick I love a print, but you have to pick the right print.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
I love a feature wall, but like it's probably not my bedroom.
Okay.
And I just want to say, then she has an outdoor bar
Oh
by
my
the
god,
pool,
the iCat's
and
back.
the iCat comes back.
Ah!
There's more
Too
iCat
much.
tile.
Yeah.
Hillary, you want to know what? This is very Younger. This is like they do a ton of patterns on Younger.
Yeah.
Here's my 20-second pitch.
Great, go.
If you got some free time, and I know you do because you've probably finished watching The
Oh,
Crown.
this is a pitch to me personally. I thought it was to the people of
Yeah,
the
but
I thought it was to the jam session community.
You are the jam session community.
Thank you so much.
Please watch Younger. It's
Okay.
so entertaining and fun and easy. And there's 2 great guys on it who are like respectful and wonderful and like really make you like want to cheer for them.
Yeah.
And Sutton Foster is like the most underrated actress on television. I fucking love her.
All of this sounds great. How many seasons do I have at this point?
You've got 4 seasons of 12 episodes, but they're 20 minutes each. It's
Oh,
fine.
it's 20. Okay, I can do that.
21 minutes per episode, basically.
4 is a lot. I wish it were 3. I got to be honest. I'm gonna do it.
It's only 16 hours. Come on.
Oh my god.
I did it over the course of like 6 days.
Yeah, no, I know. When you like something, it's easy to do that. Okay. All right.
Just pop it on while you're cooking and then you'll get into it.
But then I won't know what's going on.
Where do you stand on a TV in the kitchen?
Well, so should we segue into the next?
Yeah, this is the
topic?
good transition.
Yeah, okay, great. So the other thing we want to talk about is that I have been watching a lot of Fixer Upper recently.
Yes.
And Juliet has been cooking some opinions about HGTV for a long time.
Yes.
And you wanted to share that.
They're only half baked right now.
Yeah.
So this is a great testing
Okay.
ground. Well, first of all, give me like your top 3 bullet points about the television show Fixer Upper, which is, of course, the Chip and Joanna Gaines show. Magnolia Seed and Supply.
Yes. I find Chip and Joanna very likable, and I understand why they got a TV show. I was like, oh, I get it. And I understand why some home renovation shows, I understand why some shows work and some shows don't. And it's because personality. So I like them. They're pleasant to watch.
They seem like a great couple.
Yeah. Texas seems very flat.
Yes, it is.
It's like every single home that they
You understand
show,
where the farmhouse comes from when you watch that show.
Yeah, but it's just kind of like everything is just it looks like the same lot, and like Texas literally goes on forever. And then 3, and this is the transition, but I know Juliet's philosophies or Juliet's feelings about an open plan home.
Yeah.
And Chip and Joanna love them an open plan home.
I have a conspiracy theory about the rise of the open plan floor,
Okay, go.
open plan home
Yes.
on television.
Yes.
So much easier to film in. So much easier.
That's a great point.
If you have an open home with with
Mhm.
walls of varying heights
Mm-hmm.
and like a really like easy pass through, you get way better shots, and it's a
Yeah.
lot easier to film inside that home.
Yeah, and the light's better, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And so it's like it's almost like it's for television because it looks better,
Right.
but it is not for watching television.
Right.
That's my number one complaint
Well,
about an open floor
so
plan.
the reason we talked about it, and as Juliet knows, is that I currently live in an open plan home.
Yeah.
I didn't build it, I'm just renting,
You have
but
a little bit of a like a cutoff
we
though.
have a divider wall, and
Yeah.
it's, like, too tall to see over. They're, like, kinda, like, 2 feet between
Mhm.
the ceiling and the top of the wall and just enough room for a lamp that my husband has decided to place there, which drives me absolutely bonkers, but it's still there. I don't know.
Marriage.
It's really weird. But so essentially the the television is not in the kitchen. You can certainly hear the television from the kitchen. And if you stand at one corner of the counter, you can see the television. But it's not close enough for me to be like following what's going on in a program and also be cooking. And that's why it's perfect for sports, it's perfect for shows I've already seen, it's perfect for movies that I have to watch or television shows that I
Mhm.
have to watch for work purposes and, like, really don't care about, and
Sure.
then just kinda, like, can hear a piece of dialogue every 15 minutes and someone can fill me in. But I wanna invest in younger, so I'm not
Okay.
close enough.
Okay, fair enough. How do you feel about the kitchens of Chip and Joanna Gaines in general?
I like them. I mean, I just
I think that's what they're best at is kitchens.
yeah, they're good at kitchens and they're good at natural light.
Yes.
They really do, and again, this is part of the open plan, it makes it much easier, but they do open up these kind of
It makes sense for a fixer-upper. I think, like, if
yeah.
I'm just talking, like, if you are really on a I mean, I will be when I finally own a home on a
Yeah.
tight budget, then, like,
Yeah.
I kind of understand when people consider it, but I just don't think it's really, like, that functional. I also, like I like to have separate spaces. Like, this is where I eat, this is where I watch TV, this is where I sleep or whatever.
So would you have if you didn't have an open plan home, would you have a television in the kitchen?
I think I would have, like, 10 years ago, but
Yeah.
now I'm like, "Oh, we'll just get an iPad."
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
get, like, a big iPad or something,
Yeah.
watch it that way. But I do think, it's, like, become so communal. You can, like, watch sports while you're cooking or, like I think it's actually best for watching sports in the
That's what we
kitchen.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's kind of and I, like, basically don't really watch them, and so I
Yeah.
can kinda hear what's going on.
Yeah,
And
it's good
yeah.
for that, but, one thing that I always find so funny about Chip and Joanna
Mhm.
is I love when they just, like, "Oh, we're just gonna pull over on the side of the road for this, random yard sale that's happening.
Right.
How lucky we found it." Like, "Okay,
Right.
cool." Like, it's the worst the most egregious example of that is always on Ina when she was like, "Wow, I've come to this great market to pick up some beautiful."
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
In Ida's defense, at least she's like, "This is the place that I
Yeah.
go, and this is my best friend," and it's not like we
Sure.
randomly found this, like,
Chip and
beautiful
Joanna do a
crock
lot
pot.
of the
Yeah.
random though,
Yeah,
and
they
I'm like, "Okay, so you just happen to have your pickup truck with you the day that you buy this, like, 500-ton vintage wood door that you'll be gifting to
right,
someone in their reno?
right.
Okay, sure." I'm, like, both so dubious and incredibly envious of their warehouse space
Yeah.
where they keep all the trinkets.
Can I ask you some questions
Sure.
about how it works?
Mhm.
Specifically, so they have a very specific design style,
Yeah.
which is the West Elm design style
Yes.
as well, and which because of West Elm and Urban Outfitters, and I suppose all the HGTV shows has kind of taken over a certain market.
Yes.
So I'm wondering who is supplying the furniture in these situations? Who is making the design choices? And is it all just one big racket?
Um, I haven't read as extensively about the show
Mhm.
as, like, you could. You know, they do custom stuff.
Yeah.
Like, she goes to, like, the table guy, I
Right.
forget his name, and, like,
Right.
she, like, makes tables. Then I think they have some partnerships for furniture,
Okay.
and then they do collect stuff. I don't think it's a complete racket, but I think they've, like, got it down to, like,
Right.
a science of how they do this show.
And then do you think that the wider furniture companies are
Like, pitch them. I think
pitch them and or are adjusting their taste based on what they're seeing on the network?
I think it's, like, goes both ways.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, you know, that's also, like, once one of these couples or these personalities take off, they get their own line. So then
Right.
and then that's distributed by Target, and so it
Right.
becomes, like, mass produced.
Right. There was a good piece last year or a couple years, I guess, um, in Atlas Obscura by
Oh,
Kate
yeah.
Wagner, and it was about how beige took over American homes, and it talks
That
about
was
how
a
the
great piece.
first round of HGTV really pushed the beige,
Yes.
and then it showed up in all our parents' homes. But I feel like now we're on round 2, which
Oh,
is
yeah, the
the
West
succulents, the West Elm,
yeah,
kinda half mid-century,
yeah. It's, like, kind of like mid-century cottage.
splash wall. Hilary Duff has clearly been
Yeah,
watching Fixer Upper.
completely.
Yeah,
It is, like there is, like, a real just monochrome
Yeah.
Except in Hillary Duff's house of interior design in America.
Yeah.
A lot of it's because of HGTV. I swear I'm gonna write about this.
Okay. Well, that's great. I look forward to
It's
it.
coming, particularly because I just was a huge while you were out head. I used to rush home from
Yeah.
school to watch it.
I like most of the houses look really nice. I'm like, oh yeah.
They make nice houses. I think just at a certain point, one thing I like about LA, and one of the reasons I like to look
Mhm.
at homes here is that, especially on the east side where we live in
Mhm.
Hollywood and Silver Lake, there's all these 1920s homes that have a
Yes.
little bit more like just quirk to them because they were built because of the way they
Yes.
were built, and there's a nice like mix of Mediterranean, craftsman, and then, like, new construction, modern,
Yeah.
that's kind of, like, dots Los Angeles that makes it look unique, so, like, even if, you get inside and everything looks the same from the inside, from the outside, there's a lot of unique looks,
Right.
particularly, like, in the city limits. I think as there's been expansion
Yeah, absolutely.
into the respective valleys, it's not quite the same, but it makes LA nice and cool. So, it's one of the reasons $1,000,000 Listing LA is so fun. Great show. Love real estate. Thanks for listening to Jam Session.
Thank you to Meryl Streep.
Thanks to Meryl. Thanks to Ellen.
Thank you to Hillary Duff.
And Joanna Gaines. And Chip, too. Great
Yeah.
guy.
Okay.
Thanks for listening.